Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Techigy podcast. We have MC, JM, which I accidentally named JC, and JC as well, myself here. So I will fix you in a minute, JM. We are a technology podcast that talks about retro gaming, retro technology up to current and the future. So if anytime you like what you hear or you don't absolutely hate it, I'm going to need you to do me a favor. I'm going to need you to climb to the top rope. Look out at the fans, the people in the crowd, all chanting your name. Take it in. Look down at the ring on that like button and give it the biggest elbow drop you possibly can. Oh, yeah, brother.
Beauty, eh?
What's up, guys? Real quick, what's everyone been up to?
Nothing.
Okay, moving on. So this month is I don't want to say it's data privacy month because that's not really an official thing. But next week, I think 31st is data privacy day, and next week is data privacy week. It used to be a day and they turned it into a weekly thing, but it is important. And since we talk about technology, I want to share just a quick write-up here about it. It'll only take me a couple minutes, just things to pay attention. And especially because the more that we're online, the more we expose ourselves and we expose our data. All your online activity generates a trail of data. Websites, apps, and services collect data on your behaviors, interests, and purchases. Sometimes this includes personal data, like your social security number, driver's license numbers. Woo! It can even include data about your physical self, like health data. Think about how a smartwatch would count your records and how many steps you might be taking. So it's true that you can't control how each byte of data about any of you or your family is shared and processed. You're not helpless, even if it feels like you are. In many cases, you can control how you share your data with a few simple steps. So remember, data is precious, and you deserve to be selective about with who you share it with. So here are some simple, easy tips that will help you manage your data privacy. Most important thing is knowing the trade-off between privacy and convenience. Nowadays, when you download a new app, open a new online account, or join a new social media platform, you will often be asked to access your personal information before you can even use it. This data might include your geographical location, contacts, photos, other things I mentioned. For these businesses, this personal information about you is tremendously valuable because they will sell it, whether you agree to it or not. And actually, you normally do. By using their service, you're agreeing to them being able to sell it, collect it, and sell it. So you should think about if the service you get in return is worth the data you must hand over, even if the service is free. My favorite thing is I see people on Facebook, and it's usually people that are older than me, post in their status, "I do not consent to having Facebook collect my data." Incorrect. You do. By using the Facebook service, you have already agreed to let Facebook Meta collect your data. Putting that in your status does not stop or destroy the contract that you created when you first created your account. So you need to learn to make informed decisions about sharing your data with businesses or services. Think about, is the service, app, or game worth the amount of type of personal data they want in return? Can you control your data privacy and still use the service? Is the data requested even relevant for the app or service? Why does this solitaire game need to know all my contacts? If you haven't used an app, service, or account in several months, get rid of it. Go in, see if there's a way that you can, re-download the app, delete the account. A lot of times now, a lot of them have a data destruction, data removal policy. Go in and make sure that you're having that data removed and not just deleting the app, because you can delete the app, but your profile still exists. So another one is learning to adjust privacy settings, setting them at your comfort level. So for every app, account, or device, check the privacy and security settings. I will put a link in the description for, I think there's a bunch of different services that show you how to get to these settings. These should be easy to find in settings, but sometimes they are hidden. So go in and take a few moments to change them, set them to your comfort level for personal information sharing. Generally, we think it's wise to lean on the side of sharing less data, not more. So if it's possible, less is more approach here. So you don't have to do this for every account at once. Start small, create a list, tackle it, go through it. Make that your 2023 resolution, better protecting your online data, because a lot of people don't realize what they're giving away. until it's too late and the wrong people have it. And I know some people are like, oh, nothing's ever happened to me, or big deal, it's already out there. Okay, it might already be out there. That's a fair assumption. It could possibly already be out there, but maybe it's not just been used yet. Maybe they haven't cracked the key to the leaked the data breach yet. But once they do, and they have your social security number, your credit card number, your physical address, your driver's license number, you're in trouble. So protect your data. Data privacy and data security go hand in hand. Along with managing your data privacy settings, follow some simple cybersecurity tips to keep it safe. We recommend the following key 4. Create long and unique passwords for each account and device. Really, you should be using a password vault. Something like something that's not LastPass would be my suggestion. I recommend Bitwarden. They do not pay me, even though I've talked about them before. They have given me a hat. I will disclose that I got a hat for free from them one time.
We can use hats. We can definitely use hats.
Yeah,
especially in the summer.
Yes, because it has to be a hat that doesn't have the holes in it too, because if not, then I just have a print on the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't like looking like a checkerboard.
But yeah, I mean, ideally, anyways, passwords at least 12 characters, and actually passphrases are the safer way to go. No longer just the password. Come up with an entire phrase. It's even safer than a password with a bunch of numbers and symbols in it. A passphrase is longer and a lot harder to crack. So use a password manager like I messaged. Turn on multi-factor authentication. If you don't have that, download the MFA app. You can set those up for a bunch of different accounts. Turn on automatic device software and browser updates, so at least security updates. If you're scared of it breaking because of an update, see if there's a way you can just turn on the automatic security updates. And last but not least, learn how to identify phishing messages. It is insane how many people, phishing and social engineering are the number one way that bad actors get a hold of this data. It's not viruses. It's somebody being phished, whether through email, phone call, mail, physical mail, whatever it might be. Someone's getting social engineered, somebody's getting tricked, and that is how it happens in personal, private life, and also in companies. That is the main way that breaches occur. Happens all the time. I see it every day. So put some resources in here for this. Learn more about phishing if you're not familiar with it, or you think you're familiar, maybe learn a little bit more. There's some good resources so you can identify stuff. Some of it's blatant, but there's stuff that's really good. People can create a lot of messages that look legitimate. Like you can get Apple messages from Apple from iTunes that look real. They say, hey, the big one now is they spoof headers, so the headers look legit. And even when you hover over them, they show the correct address. You actually have to download it and look at the header to see it's wrong. Well, most people don't do that. No. So what they do is they tell you your account, somebody else tried to log in, which I think we've all probably at some time in our lifetime gotten emails saying, there was an account, an attempt to log in to your account, and we blocked that login because it was from like a weird location or something. So it comes to you like that. You click it to verify that you still have your active account, ask you for your password. Maybe that could be real. Like maybe a company would do that. Boom, phished. So I'll put some resources down there. Data Privacy Week is next week. Data Privacy Day is January 31st, 2023. Protect your asses.
Yep. Well, two things I can add to that, JC, is one, Microsoft will never call you. Yep. That's one thing that they post up on their website. So if you get a call from somebody saying that they're Microsoft, Apple, or one of the companies, they are not going to call you. It's definitely a scam. And I also, there's a website that I absolutely love. It's called Have I Been Pwned? And it's definitely worth going out there, signing up. And when there's one of these big data breaches, like you've been talking about, JC, they actually will send you an email letting you know. So it's ran by a guy, and I forget who he is. It's all out there. He's a heck of one of those security gurus. To add to everything that you said, absolutely. Two good resources to go along with everything that you're posting.
Yep.
I have two things to say. Recently, my wife got a text message from, supposedly it was PNC Bank, and the number that they said for her to call, there was something going on with the account, and the number that they asked her to call was an actual legitimate PNC number.
Wow.
But when she called it, it wasn't PNC. It was, I mean, you could tell because just the way they talked and information they were asking for, and they didn't really identify themselves as PNC. And it's like really strange. So you really got to be careful about, even like text messages too, because, they try to reel you in any way possible. So the other thing, I'm not sure if this is kind of related or not, but what's the process if you ask a company to unsubscribe you from getting emails and they continue to send you emails, what kind of recourse does the end user have? Because I've asked several times for this one company to stop sending me, and they, when you unsubscribe, they're like, oh, like some messages I get, it's 48 hours. Some messages it's 7 days or whatever before they'll stop sending you messages. And I've gotten messages way beyond the time frame that they said they were going to stop sending me messages. So does anybody know, like, is there some kind of website or somebody I can call?
I mean, you can call them. In the United States, there's not really any recourse though right now to do anything about that. You could spam the message, just hit spam, report as spam. Outside of that, call them. There is a website, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but if I remember to find it, I'll put it down in there. What it does is it sends an automated message. But now, so no, wait, there's a trade out here because you have to give this website access to your email. So keep that in mind. Now you can read their privacy policy and whatever their security stuff. And I've tested them before on a Gmail account. And all they do is they don't look at your emails, they look at the headers. And when the header comes in, they see that email that's the email that you're trying to unsubscribe from, the domain name. They automatically send a pre-typed template for requests for information removal. And I believe they do it over and over and over until it's removed. So every time you get an email from that domain, it'll send another one out until it's removed. There's no legal recourse. I mean, it's not really harassment. That'd be a very hard argument. I know you've asked them. I know you've asked them a bunch of times, but they'll claim that it goes to an unmonitored inbox.
Well, and then the other thing, and this started happening first of the year. I've been getting at least 15. Well, I wouldn't say that many. I probably get about 7 or 8 phone calls a day, from spammers.
Mm-hmm. There's legal recourse for that, but they're probably from out of the country, so it's not going to matter.
Well, no,
I need one to buy my house.
Yeah, but I checked the do not call list, and we're on the do not call list.
They're ignoring it, John. John, they're ignoring it because I get 3 phone calls a day.
Yeah, but isn't there supposed to be some kind of recourse by the government if you're on the list and they keep calling?
If they're going to enforce it, if they don't enforce it, then there's no recourse.
Because I checked my home phone, and I checked our cell phones, and everything's on the do not call list.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Paul Blart of legal enforcement.
So you could check laws in your state first to regarding recording, because some states allow one-party recording. I don't know if Pennsylvania does. I know Ohio does.
Well, you know what? I was listening to a security guy, and I started doing this, and it seems to have slowed down a little bit, but the security guy says what he does is he answers the phone. County Sheriff's Department Fraud Division, how can I help you? And then
I don't think you can do that, but
well, he said as long as you're not saying what county, like if I was to say like the county that I live in, I could probably get in trouble.
Yeah,
he said as long as you're not saying the name of the county.
The worst thing you can do is pick up the phone and show that you're a live number. I mean, that's the worst thing you can do, because if you don't answer.
Yeah, but I'm still. Well, here's the thing, Mike. It'll ring. If I don't answer it, it rings, and then I got a voicemail.
Yeah, you'll get that for a while, but they'll go away because they don't. After a while, it'll give up because no one answered.
Well, so far,
I hardly ever get calls here anymore, just because we don't pick up anything.
It's been 22 days and I'm still getting them. So
You know, I'm just saying.
I mean, I know what you're saying, and I know that I knew that about, you know, like not answering the phone, but then I started getting like frustrated because, like, you know, now I always have to check my voicemail. Is it a voicemail from a spammer, or is it somebody that wants to get a hold of me?
No, I'm looking at it this way. If you answer, you're getting moved to another list that says that's a live number and probably sold to everybody else.
But the thing is, the one day I had five voicemails, right? I came home one day and I had 5 voicemails. I'm like, okay, every one was a hang up.
Well, I mean, I used to get them, but me and my wife never answer anything now, and I hardly get anything anymore.
Well, I didn't answer them either. And then, you know, I thought, well, maybe I'll try this to see if this works. So,
Well,
but anyway, that's all I had to say. So.
Cool. All right. Anyway, Data Privacy Week next week, last week of January, and that is next week, right?
I think, yeah.
Well, I used to be able to pull up the code. Okay, there it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Next
last full week.
Yep. Next Tuesday is Data Privacy Day, January 31st, and actually this week is Data Privacy Week. Then I don't know. I don't remember. Just Google it. You'll find out, or Bing it, or DuckDuckGo it, or whatever you want to use. Anyways. We'll get off that topic. MM, do you have something here for us tonight?
Awesome. Yes. I have a couple of things as I'm chowing down on Jelly Bean. So I think everybody knows how crappy, you know, like they're rated the worst controllers in the world. We're on the Atari 5200. And about 20 years ago on Atari Age, a device was made called the Redemption 5200. And they sold out quick. They were never remade, and but the plans for it, everything that was for it, were released into pretty much public domain. So a gentleman by the name of Matt Jenkins has resurrected the Redemption. That sounds kind of funny, doesn't it? This is what it looks like, and I think we're going to cut to a little video of how this right here actually works. But you know what this right here does is it allows you to use a Sega Genesis or an Atari 2600 controller with your 5200 to actually make the games playable. Because anybody that's ever used a 5200 controller knows that they're not. So I think we'll go ahead and we'll show that video here real quick, and we'll go from there.
Hey everyone, it's MM from the Techigy podcast. I'm going to do a quick demo of the Redemption 5200. This is a device that was originally released by Atari Age about 20 years ago. A gentleman by the name of Matt Jenkins has re-released it, and this right here is his version of it. He does have 2 versions. I only purchased the one that goes from 2600 and Sega to the 5200. He does have one that works with 7800 controllers, which actually they don't fit well in my hand, so this one right here made more sense for me. But what this device does is it allows you to use Sega, Genesis, and Atari 2600 controllers with your 5200, because I think everybody knows these were notoriously bad. They don't, you know, they're not self-centering. They just feel awful in the hand. This right here, to me, feels much better when you're playing. So what this device does is it plugs into your 5200. You can bring in your 5200 controller, and then either your Atari or your Sega controller. So I'm going to pause here for a second. I'm going to go ahead and hook this bad boy up. So let's do this real quick. So we'll plug this in here. And we'll plug this in here. And they do go upside down. That was one thing I noticed. And we will show you how it works. So it is 2 buttons if you're using a Sega Genesis controller, but you will have to use your 5200 controller to get start. And as you can see, much better control than the other controller, although I'm not doing very well here. It's what happens when you have people watching you play. But as you can see, it works much better. And I didn't do so hot. But there you go.
Okay, so I hope everybody enjoyed that video. Hopefully it's something we can do a little bit more of moving forward. The other thing I wanted to chat about is I did pick up one of the Steamdecks. My first impression of it is it's huge. I don't have my Switch in here, but it's probably about double the size of the Switch. The one I bought was the 256. Obviously, the 64 is not going to have enough storage. But right now, you can buy memory cards, the 1 terabyte ones for about $100. The silicon power one is like 87 right now up on Amazon as of today, so that could change. But this device allows you to play your Steam, some of your Steam games on your on portable. The biggest issue with it is it does run Linux, so not every game is compatible with it. Now it does stream, so if you have a PC, you can stream games from it. The one thing I was interested in, and unfortunately Amazon didn't get me my card in time, this is something I'll talk about on a later podcast, is that you can put EmuDeck on it, and there's a lot of little videos on how to do it. I want to do it myself to see if there's anything that any tips and tricks I can give, but it allows you to play, it looks like up to Xbox games on this device. They're actually, I saw the Xbox, I saw a PS2 emulator on it. I want to test it. I'm very curious. And with a terabyte of storage, I should be able to get some of those games on there. So that's something, I wasn't able to do it before this podcast, but it is something I want to do. The other thing is, there's actually two other things about the Steam Deck I found kind of interesting. One is that all the devices that work with USB-C do work with it. I mean, technically it is a computer. So like the little hub that I bought for my Switch to charge it, to be able to put things out on HDMI to a monitor, to a TV, they all work with my Steam Deck. So I didn't have to buy any new devices. I simply 3D printed a dock for it. And I'm going to use that when I'm doing all the installation for the EmuDeck. There is, and we'll put this in the notes, there is the device, the layer that runs on the Steam Deck to allow you to play some of the Windows games is called Proton. And what happened is the version that Steam has licensed isn't the newest version. There was some legal reason they couldn't put the latest on, but you can. There's a lot of videos out there. We're going to link one on our podcast here. Tells you how to do it. But if you have a game that doesn't run, you can try this other version of Proton, and 8 times out of 10, it's going to work. It's going to fix the little issues, that you see with the device. And something else I want to play with is using Xbox cloud gaming to see how Game Pass, to see how that works on the Steam. Microsoft actually has an article on their website, tells you how to do it, which I thought was pretty cool. So stay tuned. We've got some cool stuff coming, hopefully moving forward on the Steam Deck.
Hey, Mike, I got a couple of questions for you. The storage, is that built into the Steam Deck, or is that?
It is. It is. Yeah. It comes in 64, 256, and 512. And there are plenty of videos out there that show you how to open up the Steam Deck and simply change it out. It's only it's one of those M2 drives. So you can change it out. It's something. Okay. So yeah, if you are so inclined and not really worried about your warranty, you can open the device and put a bigger thing in it. The
storage device you bought from Amazon, is that a micro SD card?
Yeah, it's one of these.
Okay. Or is it an SD?
Micro. It's micro. Okay. This is an adapter. Okay. But yeah, it's so
that'll allow you to expand the.
And the speed is not that much difference. There was a lot of tests out there. That was something before I bought the Steam Deck that I looked at is, what would the difference be? It is slower, but it's not significantly slower. You can install games to it. You can run games. And let's say you don't want to buy a terabyte. If you put it like a 256 in it, you can eject it and you can have multiple 256s. So let's say you have a lot of cards laying around.
Oh yeah.
You could basically jukebox it if you wanted to.
Got it. Yeah.
Which is what I'm going to do with the emulation stuff is I want to keep it separate.
Okay. And then the other thing is, can you get to the back end of the Linux operating system to use it as a computer?
Fantastic question. Yes, actually you can do a go to desktop and you can use it's Arch Linux is what it's running. And you can actually bring it up. You can put a mouse and keyboard on it if you have one of these hubs or a USB-C hub. Right. It works great with it. I've actually done a little bit of that with it. It's something, I think would be kind of cool to cover at some point, especially because, running like bringing in the Proton program that I talked about, bringing in the Microsoft gaming for the cloud stuff, all that stuff has to happen at that desktop.
So it really is a full-fledged computer.
Oh, absolutely. It does have something, if you're 3D printing docks, you can see you have to have the spot for the fan or it could overheat. You can see those holes.
Right.
So most docks that you'll see out there, as I'm pulling this picture out,
What would be
over here.
Oh, okay. What would be an interesting thing to try would be to see if you could log into Zoom on that.
You could actually, some people have installed Windows 10 on it.
Really?
Yeah.
But it would be nice to do like log into Zoom, and then you could share a screen and you could be sharing the screen of the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I mean, it looks a lot like Big Picture on Steam. So it's obvious they're using. The one thing I found interesting when I was looking is that you can't really download the Steam OS to put like on a PC. Like if you got an older PC or a PC you just wanted to make kind of a big Steam Deck.
Yeah.
They don't have that right there. There's another OS out there called Chimera OS that looks very interesting. It looks like something that's something to mess around with. I've got a couple of broken Surface what do they call those things? Surface books with broken screens. I actually want to put that OS on there because with the Surface book, it has an AMD, or no, it has a GeForce processor in the base. So it should be able to run probably the same Steam games that the Steam Deck would run. So that's another thing I want to take a look at is Chimera OS. But again, yeah, I mean, I can't see if you can run it in Linux, you should be able to run it on the Steam Deck.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Is it worth?
Yeah.
Now let me put my MC hat on. Is it worth the money? And I don't know yet. Honestly, I don't know. It came with a case. It arrived quickly. I think it was $530 for this version with the 256. I don't know yet. I mean, the only thing
does it come with a dock?
No, it comes with a case.
No dock.
No dock. Dock is $100 or not? Is it 90 or is it 100 from? But it does include a charger directly from Steam, and Amazon does have a lot of third-party ones that are in the $40 range.
So you can shoot that up to your TV then.
You could. I mean, you can do it. You can do it, John, with one of these. I mean, this right here is just one of these little USB docks that does it doesn't have HDMI. This thing right here, I think I paid $15 for it.
Is it HDMI out?
Yeah. Well, it's USB-C to HDMI.
Oh, USB-C to HDMI. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so it's completely compatible with USB-C.
Got it.
So
very good.
Cool.
Yeah, I know they're not cheap. I think what's the cheapest one was like 300, right? Or
400.
400.
That's a 64, which honestly I don't know how people could survive with the 64. You put 2 games on it, you're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did think about it. I think it doesn't come with a case either, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I didn't even consider it. I went between the two.
Went middle of the road, right?
Yeah, I went middle just simply because I knew I could buy an SD card for less than the price difference, and it really wasn't worth an extra, $256, where I could go to a terabyte with the card.
Yeah. Nice.
So, but yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Any other questions? Who are we kicking off to? Who's next?
What I had.
John, you next or me?
I don't know. Was I supposed to go next?
I can go next if you want. That's fine.
I don't care.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right, I'll go next. I don't have a real lot tonight. Just real quick, I don't know where I was looking around, if it was Facebook or whatever, but I found a web-based Commodore 64 emulator where you just basically go to this website, and I'll tell you what it is. And basically you can program Commodore 64 Basic on there or whatever. And actually I did a little test with the Hello World, basic program, and it worked, and that just to test it out. But it actually works. And the web address is https:// and then I'll read it to you. It's joystick, and the word "and" is AND, and then it's cursor keys, github.io/basic64-js/emulator/ and it takes you right into it. You go right into, like, it looks like you turned on a Commodore 64 and you could basically just start programming right there, which is pretty cool. I just thought it was neat that they had a web-based, emulator. I mean, maybe a lot of people know it's out there. It was the first time I ever saw it. So that's the first item I want to talk about. And then the second one is for those who bought the Atari 50th anniversary, cartridge game for whatever system you bought, they actually did an update which fixes a bunch of stuff. And there is a list of every fix on Steam where you buy the game. But a few of the quick fixes are for most of the arcade games, they put a dip switch or dip switches in these settings so that you can change the settings so that you can make it either easier or harder, just like you would in an arcade, as if the arcade owner would go in the back of the machine and, up the settings to make the game harder or easier. A few of the other things are Yar's Revenge. They enhanced the player using keyboard controls, can now toggle between enhanced and classic graphics with the tab key. The iRobot, they fixed an error that caused the zoom function in iRobot to function abnormally. Haunted House, they added various minor improvements to the Haunted House game. Food Fight controls have been fixed. So Charlie retains his direction when the analog stick is released. The Yager, they fixed Tempest to 60 frames a second and fixed and they added support for analog controllers. So now the input for the analog controller works. Cybermorph players can now use access codes at the level select screen. Club Drive players can now visit the secret level called Planet Todd. There's a bunch for the Atari 2600, the adventure game. Various number 3 correctively generates random item positions. Warlords, a gameplay exploit has been removed. Solaris Galactic Scanner can now be activated from player 1 controller. Swords Quest Earthworld restores missing page in the comic book. So I guess there's some missing pages in the comic book. And minor improvements to the 2600 game variation selection systems. Let's see what else. The Atari is it links. Option 1 and option 2 buttons now function as they should. Malibu Bikini Volleyball matches now end correctly. And then there was a few very miscellaneous ones. Some bug fixes on the timeline that would sometimes improperly calculate the completion percentage. Video segment durations are now listed on the timeline. 3D modeled cartridge boxes now display correctly on ultra wide monitors. There's some improvements to OpenGL video performance. There's some improvements on minor bug fixes and small refinements. And let's see, update credits. Oh, they just added some more credits to the, they updated the credits to add more people to the credits. But other than that, there's some other specialty stuff that they fixed that you'd want to go to the rebs, to Steam to read, because they're actually like control keys and stuff like that. You can do certain things in some of the games. But that's a lot of the major fixes they've done.
It's a great package for sure. I mean, I had my doubts until I actually played it.
Oh, I really like it. I think they did a good job with that, I wish some other companies would do the same thing, and then they put it on a lot of different systems, which is kind of nice.
Yes.
So.
Do you hear us in television?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the other one. Yeah, that would be the other one that's still kind of around.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that could still do a really good job with that. I mean, Nintendo kind kind of has with their little, their litlittle systems.
Yeah, I mean, Sega's made a bunch of attempts, but I just like that the Atari seemed to do a
they did a great job.
big portion of their stuff, whereas all these other ones, they'll do kind of these retro things, but they'll give you like 20 games or 30 games or it's like a half-hearted,
Yeah, it's a cash grab. It's say it like it is. It's a cash grab.
It's a cash grab. Yeah. Why don't why don't they just do the full thing and get it over with? Yeah,
no, it's this right here is the model of what everybody should do. I mean, it's
yes.
I had my doubts. I mean, I think on even one of these podcasts I said, I looked at it, it was kind of useless, and then I actually got it and I played it for a couple of evenings. I'm like, now this right here actually held my attention. It wasn't Night Trap.
Yeah. So, but no, they did a good job, and I wish some others would do the same thing and bring it out on all the, on a bunch of different systems so everybody can play it, So, all right, John, you're up.
Okay. So for Christmas, I got a everybody knows there's a Raspberry Pi shortage, right? So if I was looking for something that was like the Raspberry Pi, but a little bit beefier. And I came across something called the OrangePi 800. And if you're any of you that are listening or watching are familiar, this is similar to the Raspberry Pi 400, where it has the built-in keyboard and a bunch of ports, just like the Raspberry Pi 400. So it's available through AliExpress and Amazon store, and I think you can buy it directly from this website here, orangepi.org. But the cost, I think my cost was I think it was 108 with a power supply. So all you get is the power supply and the keyboard and built-in computer that you see here off to the right. Some of the specs for this. Now, this is a little bit beefier processor than what the Raspberry Pi has been using. It uses something called a Rockchip RK3399 SoC CPU. So that, from what I read and understand, is a lot beefier than the Raspberry Pi 400 or even the Raspberry Pi 4. It's got 2 USB 3 ports. It actually has one USB 2 as well. Both dual band Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, 64-bit processor. It does have a full-size HDMI port that supports 4K high def video. It's got 64 gigs of onboard storage. Let's see, what else can I tell you? I'm not going to get into it. So this chip has 6 cores, 6 threads, and at 1.8 gigahertz processing speed. 4 gigs of RAM, which is plenty. Again, it does have, besides the HDMI port, it has a VGA port as well. Now, this operating system, the one that I bought, it did not come with an operating system. So I had to download my own images from orangepi.org and flash them onto micro SD cards. So ignore this part here if you're watching the video. It's just a tidier setup, obviously similar to the Raspberry Pi 400. There's only the power supply and an HDMI cable coming out of there. So I'm using a wireless mouse, so it's kind of nice. So again, some of this is just going over some of the stuff that I already mentioned, the 4K video and so forth. Here's the back as far as the ports. You've got a speaker, which, you know, it's not great, but at least you can hear sound coming out of the device, which is something that the Raspberry Pi 400 did not have. It's got Type-C USB power. It's got the 26 pin IO interface for programming, analog out, VGA port, HDMI, micro SD slot, gigabit Ethernet, 2 USB 3s and 1 USB 2. Apparently it has some type of heat conducting thing that keeps it cool so it doesn't overheat. What else? And it's good for, again, it's powerful enough to be an everyday low-end machine for office work, for entertainment, for home theater, you know, just about anything you can pretty much think of. Here are the specs again, you know, just all listed together, but I'm not going to go over that. It does, right now, it does support 4 operating systems: the OrangePi OS, Manjaro Linux, Ubuntu 22.04, and Debian 11. So, right, and I think they're planning on adding on more in the future, but that's what it currently supports. Actually, you know what? It does support one more. It supports an Android OS as well. So, but this is basically what I got. I just got the computer, a beginner's guide, and a power supply with mine. Now, the one thing I will tell you, I mentioned that it had a speaker on the back. I'm not sure if this might be tough to see, but this little dot right there is actually a microphone. So I can actually, you know, if I wanted to, I could use that for a Zoom call if I wanted to. So, but anyway, that's it's basically all in one device, and it doesn't take up too much space. As you see, 286 wide, 122 deep, and 22 high. So very similar footprint to the Raspberry Pi 400. Okay, and I guess what I was going to do is I was going to do a short demonstration of what the desktop looks like and some of the software that is installed on it. So let me stop sharing here. Oh, and I'm going to stop my video so you don't see me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm going to just move my microphone over, and I'm going to attempt to share the screen on the Zoom here. So let's see if this works. We did test it out before, so we will see if this works. Okay, minimize that. So this is the actual desktop. There's not much to it except for the graphic in the middle. Up here is your the time and date. I don't think that's right. I never reset that, so I apologize for that, but it's actually tomorrow already. So actually it's already Tuesday. No, I'm sorry. But anyway, time and day, Bluetooth, if you need to set up a Bluetooth device, the Wi-Fi, and I'm logged into my Wi-Fi here, and you got your volume control settings there. And what is over here? Then you have your suspend, shutdown, restart, log out there. Application wise, it doesn't have a whole lot, but you can add to it. It obviously has a terminal emulator, a file manager, a mail reader. Oh, it actually has 2 web browsers, this one and also Firefox here, so which I'm logged into with the podcast. So multimedia, not a whole lot. It does have Kodi built in if you're a fan of Kodi, but again, you can add other software. The only thing it has for Office is a document viewer. But again, this is just one of the operating systems. So the other ones that I created, they do have a little bit more software on them. But this particular one, now this one is supposedly the Android operating system, which I'm not sure to me, Android doesn't usually look like this. It usually has the icons all over the screen, similar to what the phone has. So I'm not sure why they're calling this the Android operating system, but again, it seems to be pretty responsive. If I was to try to pull up another website, I guess I could try opening up a web browser and see if how it responds. Oh, failed to execute. How about that? Nice. These live demos, they don't always work well. Let me see if I can open up. So it opened up Firefox pretty quickly, and that's I'm going through Wi-Fi, so it was pretty responsive. So I could see somebody using this for like I said, for definitely an everyday machine. So, but again, I'm not going to get into details here, but there are the other operating systems that I did create. I did do the Ubuntu version, and the one called Manjaro and one called Debian. And if you're familiar with Linux, you'll know that those are all based off of Linux distributions. So the Debian and the Ubuntu, the desktop looks exactly like what you're seeing here, but it's using different a different desktop environment, and it has a different software installed. The only one that doesn't have this desktop screen that you're looking at now is the Manjaro. It is completely different, so I'm not sure why that is, but again, I'm not going to go into showing you all the different operating systems, since most of them are the same. So anyway, that's all I wanted to go. I just wanted to do a quick review of that, and again, it could be used, I think, in for everyday use, and I can try putting it through its paces and see how it responds, and then I can report back at a later date, another podcast. So okay, so that is all I had on the OrangePi. Let's see, I did stop sharing, right? Yeah, good. All right, let me go back here. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, and I just actually saw this recently, so I'm not totally familiar. I'm not totally familiar with it, but maybe MM could jump in if he knows a little bit about it. But I found this was on a Reddit thread that I found. There was a gentleman who was actually playing ColecoVision games on an Evercade, and I don't know much about the Evercade, and when I delved into it, apparently there is a cartridge called the Ever SD that allows you to emulate not only the ColecoVision but other systems as well. And the hey Mike, there's your thing. I meant to tell you I was going to bring that up. There's the Commodore emulator.
That's it.
Anyway, the thing that I wanted to show was this is the website for the Ever SD, and apparently this part right here just fits into your Evercade, and there's it looks like a micro SD card that fits into there, and then you can run I guess you're able to run, is it RetroArch MM? Is that right?
Yeah, it does. What you do is you're installing another, emulator on the Evercade. The Evercade,
okay.
If I'm not mistaken, the Evercade is one of those mobile style processors that's inside of there.
Yeah, I see it.
It's probably the same thing as the Raspberry Pi or something like that.
Yeah, I see right there. I just highlighted that. It says emulates even more consoles with RetroArch. So
yeah, so anything that works with RetroArch should work with it. So you probably could put Intellivision and some of the other cool systems on there. And
it does come in different. There's several different colors, and I believe if you hit buy now, I wanted to say it was $40 some. but I could be wrong. Let me see what it pulls up here. Yeah, well, let's see. You'd have to convert that. So it
About
might be
60,
more.
about 60.
Yeah. So I mean, that's not too bad.
No,
To,
a typical Evercade cartridge is like $20.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool. I don't have an Evercade, but when I saw that thread on Reddit and it said playing Coleco, then my interest got piqued there a little bit. So for those of you who know me, and I'm a big ColecoVision fan. So and I think that's all I wanted to show. I wanted to show the fact that someone was playing ColecoVision games on an Evercade, and there is a device out there which I said is called EverSD, and the website is eversd.com if you are interested in learning more about this particular cartridge. So, and I believe that is all I've got.
Cool. MC, I think you had another topic, right?
Yeah, I do. This is for the people that own a TRS-80 color computer. I guess there's a guy named Paul Shoemaker. He's creating a game called Descent into Shadow. And it should be done this year, 2023. It's a 3D dungeon maze type game, similar to Wizardry for the Apple II. And he's got it's on Facebook on one of the color computer sites. I saw he had a little movie of it, and it looks like it's coming along, and it looks pretty neat for that old of a system. It's got the 3D kind of maze thing you go through. Now it's a line maze kind of, there isn't a lot of texture on the walls or anything, but it does look pretty neat, and it looks like he's probably about halfway done with it. So hopefully by the end of the year we'll see that game, and hopefully hopefully he puts it out there. I don't know if he's selling it or putting it out there for free, but if he does put it out there for free, I'll try to show that maybe at the end of the year. So, but that's all. I just saw that today, and it was kind of neat that he's in progress. I like people that they're creating games for these retro systems. I mean, I know everybody isn't perfect, but the more programmers we can get out there creating games, the better is the way I look at it. So,
well, it keeps the legacy of some of these old systems alive, which is
right. And my thing is more games for me to play.
Exactly.
And I'm a big gamer. All my friends know that. So
I think most of us on here are big gamers, right?
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Most of us.
Yeah, I mean, in January, at the end of January is the end of the ability to sign up for the Collector Vision Experience Club. If you're a ColecoVision fan, I can't recommend that club any higher than of all the retro clubs that I've joined over the years. It's always a surprise when those 3 games come in around July, August timeframe. You never quite know what you're going to get.
I think it'll only be 3 this year, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get the 800.
You're going to not reach the 800.
But it's going to be a really good version of
Demon Attack.
Demon Attack. The gentleman that did the Mario Brothers game for CollectorVision is doing that one. One's supposed to be a port from another game that came out for a different system, and then the other one is an arcade port. But if I have to guess, I'm going to put my money on this, a little bit of money on this, is that I bet you it's ET that comes out for the ColecoVision.
Really?
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying that, and I could be wrong, I mean, there's been screenshots. The reason I'm thinking it is, think about it. 2023 is the 40th anniversary of the video game crash. And what's the game everybody blames for the video game crash?
Well, he better make that a hell of an ET version. That's all I gotta say.
Have you seen the graphics of
No, I have not.
Yeah,
I've seen graphics of some of the arcade ports that he's redoing,
The ET looks really good. I mean,
they look, I didn't see the ET,
Yeah, there's pictures that JF posted.
Did he post on Facebook?
Yeah, he did. And then
I'll have to go back and look.
when I guessed, because people are guessing what it is, when people were guessing, I said ET and somebody reposted it. So look in some of the ones he's got out there. But
Yeah.
if I had to put any money on it, I would say, knowing how nostalgic those guys are, I bet you ET is
If he can do bowling, he can do hockey.
he can do
So,
bowling, he can do ET.
he can do hockey.
Yeah, I can do hockey too. I have no clue what the arcade. I don't even have a guess.
And he's from Canada, so he should be making hockey.
He said he actually started doing a hockey game about 15 years ago.
Well, finish the damn thing, would you?
Yeah, we need it,
Yeah. Hey, are you? I saw you posted that thing on about the 3D printable controller. You plan on doing that?
I want to look at that. JM. I want to see what I didn't see in there, which was, and again, I don't know enough about it. Is I want to see if there's actually circuit board, the PCB in there. Because if all I'm going to do is print the casing, it doesn't do any good. If I can go to Osh Park or one of those, one of those places and actually get them to make the board. If the board is actually in there, yeah, I don't see a reason why not to make some.
Well, did you look at the files, or where was that posted on?
It was on Atari Age. I did look at the files, but I don't.
Where was it? Where was that posted on Thingiverse or?
It's posted on GitHub.
Okay.
Yeah, I downloaded it, but I haven't really looked at it yet. I've got other things that I'm looking at right now. But
was there any mention about, like, in addition to the printing the case, you need this hardware?
Yes. Yeah. No. It says all the resistors and everything that you need.
Yeah. Okay.
So if I had to guess, the board is probably in there. If I start looking at it, I can definitely report back. But if the board is actually in there, I may try to make a couple of them, just because, quite frankly, the NTT controller right now is getting more expensive. This controller right here,
yeah, I should have grabbed
for
it
the
when I had a
Phoenix
chance.
is getting
I
more
should have grabbed it.
expensive. But this is a great controller, and I don't know if Eduardo at Opco is going to come out with his controller this year. He's having problems just getting chips for the other stuff.
But that one only fits into Phoenix, right?
That one, but the people have made mods where you can make it work with Coleco. I want the whole keypad. I mean, you can buy controllers like this for the ColecoVision.
Yeah, that's the one that
the Retro Boys do. It's great. Don't get me wrong, but you only got two buttons. You've got the asterisk and you got one.
Well, do they have? How do they have it mapped to?
Yeah, it's asterisk and one.
Okay.
And then you got your two independent fire buttons like the ColecoVision had.
I didn't like that.
It's better than the actual ColecoVision controller. Now I'm a little partial. That's the controller I grew up with. So I don't mind the original ColecoVision controller. Yeah. My son says it's the worst controller he ever used until I handed him an Atari 5200 one. And then he said, "No, Dad, you're right. This is the worst one." So I can't wait to show him.
Thank goodness for the redemption.
Yeah, for the redemption. I can't wait to show this to Michael, because I was playing Pac-Man and it was the highest score I ever got on Pac-Man using a Genesis controller.
That might make me want to get a 5200 now.
Hey, well, you need to join it, man. There's a whole brotherhood on it. I mean, Matt, and we're going to do an interview. Just kind of a spoiler here. We're going to do an interview with Matt Jenkins, the gentleman who is doing this redemption. He is part of that 5200. The brotherhood on that, and another system that he does, which I can't wait to chat with him about, is the Vectrex. That was another system that was right in that time frame that I saw at the store, but at that point I was spending all my money on ColecoVision back in 82, 83.
Well, that's way more expensive now.
It is, unfortunately, because of the screen, and you have to know somebody that can repair it. Well, Matt knows how to repair those screens, and Matt also does a light pen for them.
Oh wow,
that's something we can ask him about. I'm real curious about the light pen.
Does he make the overlays for them too?
I don't know. There's one way that we can find out, right?
Yeah, I'll probably be on that one on Monday.
JC's trying to speak down there.
Because I want to ask him if he wants to make a ColecoVision one.
He doesn't have a ColecoVision.
Well, we'll have to give him one.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that with
He
him.
can make a ColecoVision Redemption.
What's up, JC?
I'm pulling the curtain here.
You're pulling the curtain.
I'm pulling the curtain.
Just don't
Yeah,
show
but
anybody
don't
what's
you have
behind
anything
the
to say?
curtain. Don't show anybody what's behind the curtain, JC.
I don't care. You can pull it.
As we say here at Techagy,
As we say here at Techagy Podcast, thanks everybody for joining us. It was
Thanks,
great, lots of
Johnny.
topics. We do have that interview coming up, so check in for that one. I'm going to have these up as quickly as possible. And what do we say? What did the nerds always say?
Stay
nerdy,
my
my
friends. See, we sing it. We're on cue. You know, it works better.
That wasn't the worst one we've ever done. That was okay.
yeah, that
It was
was
okay.
mediocre. Mediocre at best.
I
That's
say
all
we
these stuff.
pre-record it and then you just hit a button and you play it.
Too much work.